let's have a review here of some of the technologies we've talked about and view some of these other videos because we've talked in detail about all of these. So there is a way to secure everything. And now we're going to kind of end this series with talking about how we secure all of these devices, including this Kindle Fire that's sitting out here, in all these devices. So we talked about how internet traffic goes from each one of these devices, and we'll just kind of draw it up here as blue traffic, right? So it just kind of goes across and through our routers. So all of these devices, regardless of the type of device, they're going out over the internet. Now there is the exception that cellular phones are going directly to DNS, some sort of DNS, and then into the internet. But it just depends on what you have configured, and that's using data on your data plan on yourself. But if they're home and using the network that's within your home, they're going this route that I'm drawing in blue. Then they're going from this router into some DNS table. And we talked about open DNS and securing that DNS table. And then we talked about the internet itself. And so let's go ahead and look at one other thing that we can do to help secure our environment. And that is, and then also we talked about security here at this level. This is your virus protection. So wherever you could put virus protection, it's going to kind of encapsulate the entire box and watch activity within that box only, right? So this virus protection just kind of is protecting that desktop, right? Doesn't protect everything, but of course the router and the DNS, they all protect everything. So let's talk now about how do we, because we can't put different virus control goes on these tablets and this Android and our phones and the iPad, and everything's a little bit different. The one program that I found that does a great job at protecting all of these devices is a program called NetNanny. Now this is a fee for service. It's an annual service, and I think there's somewhere between $80 and $100 a year, but you can do multiple devices. So I think you'll have to check 10 plus. I do the family plan devices, and it really gives me the peace of mind. So let's talk about how this NetNanny works in conjunction with all of these other tools and security that we have in place. And real quick, before we forget this Kindle Fire here, Kindle Fire is kind of the older Kindle Fires, and you're going to find some of your devices are not going to play in this as well. Now, he will play here, so when he goes out to the internet, the Kindle Fire, whoops, he just went off the screen, didn't he? When he goes, whoops, my lines aren't going back. He goes into the router, and then he comes through DNS, and then he gets to the internet this way. But there are ways within the Kindle Fire to protect within the OS, okay? So however we're protecting that, we can protect it within that operating system itself, okay? So there are some, and they usually call these parental locks, okay, of some sort in these other devices. So again, if they do happen to get on the internet, you will have this protection, but NetNanny does not cover some of these devices. And so what we've done in our home is we've said any device now that we get will be compatible with all of the security parameters that we have established within the home, because router by itself doesn't do enough. OpenDNS by itself doesn't do enough for us. And so we have to have kind of all of these, and virus protection doesn't do enough. So we have to have all of these so that our family can still use the internet, but they're protected on the internet. Let's go ahead and check this out here. This is the admin console of NetNanny, and you can see here I've got users, family, reports, devices. Here are some of the top block warned devices that we have here. And here are some of the things that are going on within the environment, lots of profanity. You know, they say, many reports now say that over half of the children are exposed to pornography accidentally. It's just gone rampant in our environments, and it's affecting little children that are seeing things way before their time. So this kind of helps helps us all protect our families from these things. So let's look just kind of in general how this is laid out. We set up here a family, and we have our family plan, and we can add things just for our family, for everybody in the family. I have weekly notifications being sent to me. We can add different exceptions, and that's pretty much it, right? For just the family. But this is where the strength comes in. We can add these multiple devices, and as you see here on these devices, these list all of the desktop computers, right? We can install it on 3 of them with our licensing. So we have 3 of them there, and then we can also install them on Android. So we have 6 installations we can do with Android. And then we don't have other devices loaded. I'll talk about the iPad in a minute. But this is kind of the devices that we have on the environment. Now, when we set up our users, and we have another video out there talking about the difference between how to set up different types of users. And we have here no games, we have family, um, we have college, and they're all set to different levels of different things that they can see and can't see so that they can get the things done that they need to. One of the problems with blocking technology is that a lot of people believe that you can no longer do anything on your devices. Right? Granted, NetNanny is going to block you from doing things, and you can see here we've blocked some things, different browsers that we don't want being used, group plays, things of that nature. But generally speaking, they're all red and they all work just fine. And this is the default configuration for our family. If you go back to devices, we can see that almost everybody indicated in blue here, almost all of our devices are on the family plan, the family profile. But this device here, I've locked out McKay from playing games. So if I click on the no games profile, I can get to it this way. This again is another user account. Notice I'm back in user settings. And now notice that as this map draws out here, I have a lot more red blocks. This is the no game zone. If they're caught playing games at inappropriate times, we can block them from playing games for a period of time. So I can release this at any time. If you notice here at the there's a place here, I can't remember where, they'll actually show me, and I can release him from this and change him to another area. I can schedule what time they have. I can go into the, oh, here it is, under user settings, under no game. Here, notice I have McKay here. I can add additional users if I want, or I can delete him so that he no longer has that restriction and goes back to family. Or I can go to family user profile here, and you can see I'm kind of bouncing around, but it's pretty flexible. You can use the settings up top here, and as the family profile user settings come on, you're going to see here in just a moment family and all of the devices that are connected to the family. So I can change those at will, and just kind of play that way. Family is the default for us. So if I want to bring McKay back so he can play his games again, I can just hit here, delete user, and then the delete user, it's going to remove him, and it can't be undone, right? So we don't want him on the no games anymore, and so we can do that. So that's kind of just some of the things that you do to change them around. You kind of just play with it and see kind of how you want to manage it. So that's pretty much the NetNanny interface. Very simple. Again, just to review, set up your users, set up different user accounts, set up the devices. It's very simple. You just go to NetNanny and whatever store it is, and it'll walk you through the process, and away you go. Then you can come in here and look at all types of reports and things of that nature of what's going on within your environment and how it's being blocked. So we had 94 blocks of here in this category, most of which were profanity that were hit, warnings, and then masked. It actually masks. If we look at the last 30 days of how that's being done, it's keeping about the same average, but you can see the pie, profanity, and mature content. Nudity here is not as big, a little harder to hit that. Accidentally pornography 53. So there's lots of ways that we can quickly and easily protect our families. Just to summarize here real quick, so what do we do with the iPad users? Everybody on this map here, let me just put a check mark, or I'll highlight the people who work fine within NetNanny. So the desktop works great, Windows 8, everything works great there. The Windows tablet works good, not RT, but the Windows 8 tablet and other operating systems from Windows works great. Android works great. The iPad does not work with the centralized management. There are some features, it's limited, but it still has NetNanny that you can download from the store, and it does work